Great. So we are now recording. Welcome to February 3rd, 2021 National Collaboration Call for Strengthen Local Climate Commitments. This is a campaign which is within the Create Climate Justice Network of the Unitarian Universalists. So what is Strengthen Local Climate Commitments? Well, it is a campaign for change makers, Unitarians, and our friends, like our Elders Climate Action Network friends, who want a deeper community partnering to achieve measurable results on climate action and climate equity. What are the goals? Well, climate justice and equity, to partner, to prepare, for example, for natural disasters and the growing threats that climate change is bringing to our communities and to our homes, to network together and build a movement within and beyond our Unitarian Universalist congregations. Act locally, think globally. Every climate action we take helps minimize the destruction and devastation that is being felt in the global south right now. We want to be visible because everybody needs to be aware and taking action for climate justice. And just like all of the social justice efforts that Unitarians are involved in, we want to continue to advance social justice. Briefly, this slide is it is pretty much a summary of why community engagement is so important. This is from an older 2017 study, but essentially the point is made. If we continue business as usual, by 2030, we will only be at 20% greenhouse gas reductions from our 2005 levels. If we follow enhanced community engagement, which we're going to hear a little bit about tonight, we might be able to hit 32%. But of course, to stay below 1.5 degrees of global warming, we need to be right here at 50%. So we've got a ways to go. Very briefly, the Strengthen Local Climate Commitment campaign involves various levels of effort, and Dick Boyce and our friends in Columbus, Indiana, went straight to the hardest one, and that was expand community collaboration into visiting and collaborating with sector leaders, such as that we have tonight from Cummins Incorporated. And like I said, they went straight to the last step. They went straight to step 11.4, and they are working and talking with and collaborating with one of the major contributing sectors that needs to shift directions and become a leader, which we will hear about that Cummins Engine is doing. To learn more about this campaign, there is an orientation tomorrow. Because tonight we will not focus on the details of the campaign. We will go straight into Karen's presentation. And please, if you have not RSVP'd for the orientation tomorrow and you want to join, just put your name and your email in the chat and I will make sure you get an invitation. So with that, I am going to stop sharing and transfer the capability over to Karen so that she can show her slides without me having to interfere. So Karen, you should have screen sharing capability now. If you need anything else, just let me know. I'm going to go on mute, as I recommend all of us do, and we will hear from Karen for about 25-30 minutes. There will be some Q&A, and then, depending on how things are going, at about 8:45, 8:50, we will wrap up and just discuss a few things related to the Strengthen Local Climate Commitment campaign. And Dick Boyce from Columbus, Indiana, would you like to introduce Karen, please?
Yes, Karen is the Director of Global Environmental Sustainability at Cummins Inc. This is an interesting situation in that Karen and I have never actually seen each other face to face. Everything has been done either on Skype or Zoom. While I spent 25 years with Cummins, I must tell you that Karen and I never crossed paths. So I'm really excited that she's here tonight to go ahead and give us the presentation on Planet 2050. Go ahead, Karen.
Excellent, thank you. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes, you sound great.
Perfect, okay, great. All right, so thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you very much to Dick and Doris for the invitation. Just a little bit of background about me. You talked about change agents. I spent most of my early career in quality systems leadership and for a tier 1 automotive supplier, and pretty much just led change throughout the company. And I fell in love with change. I fell in love with, problem solving and with people. So fast forward, I joined Cummins. I've been there now 16 years and started in quality, became a corporate master black belt in Six Sigma, and found this opportunity with our environmental group. They wanted to do a current state analysis. And that ended up leading to my new role, which I've now had for 9 years, of leading a comprehensive strategy. And so it's something that, as most of you have seen, I recycled back in the day, but until I took this job and really put the picture together, I didn't realize, how critically important it is. So Cummins, you know us as Cummins Diesel. We're now Cummins Incorporated, and we're 102 years old, by the way. So we got lots of practice in business, and we really provide power. We started in diesel, but now you'll hear of electrification. You'll hear, of course, of natural gas along with the diesel. Hydrogen. So there's lots, our goal is to provide power, right? And so we want to meet customers where they are and help them and help the different markets. So we're in so many different markets that we think that we're in a unique position to make a real difference. So we're excited about that. And we're not just starting now on our environmental journey. We started back before 2000. And really focused on product emissions outside the tailpipe. So this was the NOx and particulate matter. We also started the health impacts group, right? The study of the health effects of diesel. And so, we've always taken this view of really understanding and looking at the science behind it. We've been remanufacturing since 1962, which is an important piece now to circular economy, right? We didn't understand that back then. We set our first facility goal in 2006, right? And back then we stated publicly our position on climate change. So this was, of course, back before it became such a political discussion. And then we really focused on near zero emissions, and we hit those before even the date that was required for the United States. We hit our greenhouse gas goal for our facilities. We set new ones, and advocacy has been a huge part of who Cummins is, and very good at advocating for the the well-being of our communities and society. In 2012 is when we did our first life cycle analysis. So this is when I joined the group in environmental sustainability, and we did a comprehensive study, did this product life cycle from the materials that we use all the way through end of life. And we set goals for 2020. And a lot of those goals are in our facilities and operations, logistics, but we also set one for customer partnerships and for our products and use. So those goals are, through the pandemic, that was our end year. And so we will be announcing those in May. In 2016-17 is when we did the prototype for the all-electric truck, and set new goals for water after we had hit another goal. And then we announced Planet 2050 as part of the 100th anniversary. So we didn't just start with the environmental journey. So I just want to make sure you understood that. And so when we looked at, what are our biggest opportunities? Well, the first thing we saw was, and it was from EPA, it was a number, 70% of environmental, impacts are determined upfront by the design engineers, right? So we know that that's critical. For our products being used, it's really that 99% of our greenhouse gas is our customers' use, right, of the product. If you have Amazon Prime, backup power for hospitals, dam control, power generation, a lot of really important work and requires lots of power to do. Generally, we're not in passenger cars or light duty. But our water and waste is really up here in the raw material extraction and processing. So when we looked at this, we set our goals, we've made great progress. And I'm going to say on this one, this is before our new power business, which is the electrification and hydrogen. This was the diesel engine review right here. And some of the things that we've done, just Dick will know, and up north of Indianapolis, there's a very wonderful windy spot in northern Indiana where we have wind farms. It's actually one of the best spots in America when we find out for having a wind farm, because it's on farm, it's farming community and all. So we worked on a virtual power purchase agreement with a wind farm, and it offsets almost 15% of our entire worldwide electricity consumption. We wanted to do this in Indiana just so that we're able to say, hey, we think renewable energy is important, right? And we want to do it here in our home state. Of course, we have a lot of solar installations. We don't have a lot in Indiana because it's not really always very sunny in Indiana, right? But 90% of our energy footprint is certified by ISO 50001, which is an energy standard and a very difficult standard to meet. We have saved or avoided almost 1 billion gallons of water through our water conservation efforts. Water is critically important to us. And we have a goal called water neutrality. And this is us, and this is in water stressed regions, that whatever water we'll use in our facilities, we will do community projects to help restore that amount. And so that number is at 4.3 billion gallons of water annually through those projects. So very significant work there. We will achieve our 30 zero disposal sites for the company, and 125 sites have reached above 90% recycling rate. So very important to us. And this is, we also have a goal that where we partner with our customers, we'd send engineers out and work to improve the use of our product. So think about your phone, right? It does a lot of great things, right? And I would know a lot more about it if someone would come and show me a bunch, right? And so our engineers would go similar, like somebody from Apple would come and help me with my phone. We would go help our customers at their sites with our products. And a little bit about us, for Newsweek, we're number 24 in most responsible companies. We're number 53 in green power users. Number 50 on 100 most sustainable companies by Barron's. So we're talking about investors. CDP, we were rated A- in climate and B- in water. And trust me, the water people want to be an A next year. And we talked a little bit about the energy management system. We have been on Dow Jones Sustainability Index for 15 straight years. On Investors Business Daily was the number 37 best ESG companies. And this year, we also announced in October our CARE program, which is Cummins Advocating for Racial Equity. And you can see this is a quote from Tom Linebarger, our chairman and CEO of Cummins, just talking about institutional racism as a disease, and it makes society weaker. It's going to take decisive and sustained action to dismantle racism, and Cummins will be part of that action. So this is a really important new initiative that Cummins is taken very seriously. And we'll just talk about why we exist. And, looking at this, the whole idea is to make people's lives better by powering a more prosperous world. And we think that our products do make people's lives better by, the providing, transporting food and powering agriculture, powering construction, powering things that, bring things to people. But the powering a more prosperous world is really about doing that with, in a way that provides environmental security. And that's very important to us. And so if we see our vision as innovating for our customers to power their success, that means that how do we help them achieve environmental reductions? So this is all part of who we are. When we looked at this and we started, we wanted to create our next level plan, Planet 2050, and we started this whole work on what should we include. And we looked at 5 things. We think these are the 5 things that are going to impact our business and our stakeholders. And I'm going to go through our stakeholder list in a minute so you can see who we're talking about. But we think pollution definitely is a concern. Today, more than 90% of the world's children breathe toxic air. We have done a great deal from our tailpipe emissions as well as our facilities, but we think there's more to do, right? And we're working, advocating for that. The second one is just the unprecedented changing climate impacts on our lives and livelihoods. And we can see this. So this is a reduction of our footprint and of greenhouse gas, but also how are we going to help our communities prepare for this unprecedented change? And so these are capabilities that we're going to have to build to understand, because for each location, it will be impacted differently. Next is water scarcity, and the amount of people that are expected to be in water scarce situations is just almost hard to really imagine. But we see it today. Cummins has had to truck in water to different locations all over the world. We had 18 different facilities, and one of them was in North Carolina. And so, this is something, taking a snapshot today of the incredible importance of water availability. And the next one is just how the world does global waste management just doesn't work, right? The amount of trash that ends up in oceans, just how we approach, material use and trash will have to change. And last but not least is resource consumption. So material consumption has tripled since 1970, expected to double again by 1950. And I want to kind of connect some of these for you, why it's important, definitely important for our business is we are 95% metal, our product is, and metal is a very intensive water and energy product. And so when you look at the water availability plus, we won't run out of metal or steel, and iron, but it's the water availability. So just kind of starting to connect these things, you can see the importance. The next thing we did was, while we were when we were developing this, is we took a look at our stakeholders. So we took our vision, mission, values, and that the company, we had our leaders, did a new vision, mission, and values. And we took this, report that they created, and we took word for each of our stakeholders. And the plan started kind of writing itself, to be honest, right? So for our communities, we seek to understand the needs of our communities, right? And so we want to work with them to help solve problems. For our shareholders, today the economic model does not take into account environmental impacts, right? So for today, we have to create value for customers and society that also creates value for shareholders. And we have to deliver on those financial objectives. And they're not two different things. They're actually the same thing, right? And so we see that as an important piece of what we're doing. For our customers, we want to provide this broad portfolio for them, right? A power solution that enables their important work. And it's not the easy work, it's the hard work. And so, so we have to be able to make sure that we have the right climate pathways, carbon, how do we get to this, the pathway to zero, right? And which markets you start with are really critical because there's barriers for certain markets that we're going to need to advocate for. We're going to have to remove barriers before we actually, our customers will be successful with a low carbon transformation. So we looked at each area and each supplier, or excuse me, stakeholder, and looked at, okay, so what does this mean for them? And started a visioning exercise. So in November of 2019, back before pandemic, Tom Lineberger announced our plan, a Planet 2050. And really the plan itself, is an acronym because, as Dick knows, everything has to be an acronym. No, I'm just kidding. And so, but this really explains the plan for us, right? And so let me go through that. So there's 3 different priorities in the plan. First, that our communities are better because we're there. And I'm going to step back and say, we've done 2 things with the plan. There are aspirational targets and there are 2030 goals. So we'll have both in here. The aspirational targets are out to 2050. And the first area for our target is we want to have a net positive impact in every community in which we operate. So the sum of our environmental good will be greater than the local environmental footprint. And with the other 2 areas, our goal is to have a near zero local environmental footprint by 2050. The next one is doing our part to address climate change and air emissions. And here we're talking about carbon neutral technologies, carbon neutral facilities, and near zero pollution out of our facilities and operations. The third one is natural resources, and it's, our 2050 target is nothing wasted. So we want to design out waste in products and processes, use materials again for next life, reuse water, and return clean to the community. When you're looking at, and this is a mindset shift, because if you put too much, you put more material into something than what is needed for customer value, then it's a waste, right? We are adding to the material consumption trend that we talked about. So these are huge changes for the company, and lots of work being done right now to figure this all out. And please feel free, if you have a question, please feel free to ask now. The next is our 2030 goals, and it ranges all throughout, but the first one is an absolute greenhouse gas goal for our facilities and operations by 50%. This is our fourth goal, right? So the lighting projects are about done. These are getting into the processing of how we make our products. And we're talking about, Industry 4.0, advanced manufacturing, lots of how we test our engines. So big opportunities here, big projects. The next one is, and I'll talk about more in another slide, but reducing what we call scope 3. So it means the scope 3 is not within, it's not really within our area that we can do something. It's our customers or our suppliers' actual, they are the ones that can actually, it's coming from that product. And so it's an absolute reduction. So the products that we sell in 2018, we do a lifetime emissions calculation on those, of all those sold. And in 2030, we'll have a 25% reduction of those is our goal. And think that we are not an OEM, right? You'll see some like, by 2030 to reduce, and that's just not, a possible. So as we're looking at this, it's really, how do we work with our customers to help them to use, the more efficient products? Hopefully hydrogen is more available, electrification in certain markets. This next one is working with our customers to reduce the products, the greenhouse gas footprint of the products being used today. And this is an ongoing goal from 2020. So we just went ahead and expanded this because with such great success here. The next one is about reducing the volatile organic compound emissions from paint and coatings. And we want to do that by 50%. So we're asking ourselves, what would it take to not paint our engines? And so these are things we don't know yet. We're still looking into, and we'll need to work with our customers. Pretty much almost have to work with almost every, major function within Cummins on this one. For the next, you're going to see it's more about the circular economy. You don't see a goal on recycling, but you'll see one on generating less waste, right, as a way of revenue. So what we studied is however much revenue, that was the amount of waste. It just kind of followed along with it, and we want to decouple that. And it's different than thinking about just recycling, right? It's about really only, about using less material, using the right amount of material, reducing machining scrap and manufacturing scrap. And the one above on creating a life cycle plan for every part up front in design. So this is about designing out waste. And then we'll get into, the plastics. We felt like plastics was such a visible thing, especially for our plastics, and then even for our employees, in facilities and in cafes, even in events, right? And of course, we set another very important water consumption goal. And so what makes it different? We did set a science-based target. And so a science-based target for the greenhouse gas goals for both our newly sold products and products for facilities was approved by the Science-Based Target Initiative. And this is a goal that sets in line. So think of it as a budget for a sector. You had this much budget, right? And so when we set our goals, it had to be within that calculation. So it's very important, and it was a way for us to say that, hey, we're taking this serious. This is important to us. They are absolute goals, so even if we grow, we still have to meet that amount, which is important. We're also reducing, reduce sourcing of natural resources by design, and we think that is an important next step for everyone to do. Stakeholders are very important, are really interested in this. And this is where we get into where Dick reached out, right, for us and how we're working together. It's important for us as a company to really just kind of lean into some of these, especially in communities where they're interested in like taking action. And I think, Dick, how we got together is, I was invited to go to the Chamber of Commerce, right, and talk, and we talked about the risks and how it's going to impact business, impact our communities. And, I was really excited about their response of, well, you're a big company. Can you help us? We're small. And I was like, well, that's awesome, right? So yeah, that would be great. This was all before, the pandemic, of course. And then, I think, Dick, you reached out. So I had several people at a time, and I was like, you know what, let's just all work together, right? So I sent out one email and said, hey, everybody's interested. What can we do? And Dick's like, hey, we have an action plan idea. So it's, we're taking this. We're looking at it. We have a meeting on Friday, and what I see today is what do we already know? What can we do with this, right? And I want to kind of like, how do we take people on a learning of the different opportunities? What do we already know? What do we need to know more? And what are other areas and people that can help us? So I want to start having like the Indianapolis sustainability leader and I, we've worked closely together, and she's willing to come in and talk, right, about how, they set a Thrive plan. They, worked with CDP and the Bloomberg. And so, just to help start kind of taking Columbus through a journey, right? It's really a journey. And so just bringing in people and really start building that knowledge and getting people together to really, go to the next step, right? And we all understand that collective action is how we're going to make this work. We did change our environmental group, and so it's all integrated. So technology, policy, sustainability, the three of them work closely together in what we're doing. So this is talking about our science-based target, and it's critical. Like the regulatory framework is very important for this, right? To help for companies to go further, faster. We have to be innovative. We are technology experts, right? So this is our wheelhouse, so to speak. And so, but the market, so which market's the right market? And what are the barriers to success? And we see that as our unique way of being able to help our customers, really understand and start working towards that. We see hydrogen and electrification as important. We don't think there will be one solution that's going to fit all applications. And so I think it's very important for us to think through. It's almost like a chess game, right? Of what's the next best move? What are the things that we need to remove barriers? We have a big announcement coming on Earth Day for our community piece, right? Our next thing. We have joined the CEO Water Mandate and working with them. And so more to come on that. So it's a very quick view, my 30-minute view for Cummins.
I think that one of the things that Karen, didn't totally touch on, which is important for your perspective, is that in Columbus, Indiana, Cummins Engine Company basically employs about 8,000 people. So when you look at that and you look at it at a city that is around 50,000 and a county that's about 75,000, they are well and away the largest employer in the area. Also, we have more mechanical engineers in Bartholomew County than any other place in the United States. So you have a high.
Hey, Dick, I think you're on mute.
Organization that the Heritage Fund, which goes ahead and helps look at all of the different projects. They've kind of helped us take a lead there. And then we have various other faith-based organizations that are part of the whole thing as well. We've brought in the St. Bartholomew's, which is the Catholic organization, and everybody is beginning to look at it and try to come up with solutions. What Doris mentioned is we really haven't gotten the plan yet for Columbus for a climate plan, but we do have direction. And unfortunately, or fortunately, we have a lot of things that are on the mayor's plate right now. And so we're trying to fight through and get the priority to do a climate plan as one of the items on his agenda.
Yeah, and that's something that I have found so amazing about what's happening in Columbus, Indiana, and that is the effort, and we do have representatives on the call from the Chamber of Commerce also, but and from the city. But I'd love to hear more about how this is helping motivate and focus the community to pull together to develop your climate action plan and try to reach essentially strengthen your local climate commitments.
Well, as Karen said, she and I were talking about this. We brought in individuals from Bloomington, from IU. We have a variety of individuals, including the school corporation, right on through the Heritage Fund, the city. Everybody is now beginning to go ahead and think about what we need to do to create the climate plan. What we do have, though, are, like I'm sure everybody else on the call, when you go in and you talk to the city management, they tell you that, first of all, we're in the midst of a pandemic, and we really are, right now, all of the city buildings in Columbus, Indiana are closed. You have to get an appointment just to go ahead and get the opportunity to go in and see someone. Well, hopefully with the vaccine, things will change, and that will be, that'll be better. But it's been an impediment. I think we're finding now, using this type of capability like Zoom to go ahead and talk, that works. But still, you need that face-to-face in order to go ahead and really get people motivated and start going down the area. I'd be happy if either Robin or Brett would jump in and kind of give the perspectives on from either the school corporation or the city, to kind of give us their feelings.
Hi, Dick. This is Robin. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay, great. Yeah, we are in the process of working on an RFP to hire a firm that will help us with a comprehensive energy plan. Now, that's only going to be for city, essentially. It's not going to be for the community, but it will be for city. I will tell you that, we're taking measures. For instance, I know engineering just announced that we're going to be replacing street lights with LED. It's a very expensive venture, so we can't do it all at once, but we're planning on doing that slowly. And that will obviously reduce our carbon footprint and our energy usage. We are, as standard practice, whenever we replace a road, about 50% of the asphalt that's being used is recycled asphalt. So we are trying to recycle as much as possible. We're trying to get more community members interested in recycling. And so as our landfill costs have gone up, we're looking at ways that we might be able to do that. But that's sort of where we're headed as far as hiring a consulting firm who really works in city planning, and hopefully they will help guide us a little more on the things that we need to do. And that RFP will probably be out in the next month or two. As part of that too, the only part that we really have that's community engaged is an education plan. And we hope that will encourage more community members to want to recycle and reuse and reduce energy usage.
Thank you.
Dick, this is Brett Bozeman, BCSC Operations. We're the school district in Columbus. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. I don't have anything prepared to share, but I can give you a quick 30-second synopsis of kind of what we've been doing here, ironically with Cummins as well. We have a little more than 2 million square feet of school facilities, 21 buildings. We just finished an LED lighting conversion. Basically every light bulb in the district is now LED. That's the low-hanging fruit savings that we had. It was about a $1.7 million contract that will, the ROI on that is about 2.5 years. Really easy decision for us to move ahead with something like that. We just finished rooftop solar installations at 2 schools, 1 middle school and 1 elementary school in town. We have quite a bit of architectural significance of our buildings and our school buildings in Columbus. So ground mounted solar units are not a feasible option for many of our buildings. So we put those units on rooftops. And we've also just rolled out the region's first electric school bus. So we received that here in November. That is powered by Cummins Incorporated, of course. So, but we're
Yay!
we're excited. We're excited for that. We actually we had some funding help from Cummins on that, but most of the funding on that had come from the Volkswagen emission settlement from the state. So,
Oh yeah.
So anyways, those are just three things just off the top of my head that we have going on here in terms of trying to, you know, our interest is of course utility savings and operational savings to the district, but also reduction of carbon footprint, and then the education piece with that with our kids of trying to pass that to the next generation. So. Like I said, I apologize. I didn't have much prepared to share, but those are three things that we're working on here that I think are along the same lines of your interests.
Thanks very much. I didn't really want to put you on the spot, Brad, but I thought, hey, I'll try.
I think what's important is the getting the excitement from all the different areas, right? And Dick has done a really nice job of always like, hey, let's get back together. Let's do this, right? So, you know, you all have done well in your journey here. But I think, and it is a journey, and that's how I look at it, even for the pandemic, right? So this is a good time to start, like Robin said, like we're going to hire someone, we're going to do this, but it's a good time for all of us to figure out what are the steps, what's the paths we want to take, right? For learning and building that now for when the pandemic is in a better place.
Yeah, and
I think the other thing to talk to the group is that Cummins, while it's located here in Columbus, Indiana, it operates in 180 countries around the world, and you know there's over 80,000 employees. And when Karen talks about what we're doing in different plants, that includes Europe, that includes China, that includes Brazil. I mean, it's a worldwide organization. And the statements that she's making about what we're doing in North America really are worldwide statements. And I think that it's hard to, you know, kind of think about. But I think more and more of the major companies, now that we have the direction from political situation with, hey, we are going to go ahead, rejoin the Paris Agreement, do things like that, I think you're going to find that there are many corporations that you can align yourselves with in your various regions, and their goals are going to be similar. I mean, they're not as heavily. Perhaps, I mean, if you look at a Microsoft, you know, they're not as heavily into making things that take all these raw materials, but still they have goals. Apple has goals. Microsoft has goals.
It's
Google,
all those server farms that take the energy, and they're
right.
working
Exactly.
Renewable energy for that.
And she also kind of, you know, she touched on the situation with hydrogen. I mean, you know, when we look at hydrogen and when Cummins looks at hydrogen, it looks at two different ways of handling it. One is a stationary power type of situation. One is a mobile power situation. Now with the most recent things at GM and fuel cells, I think you're going to see more and more a movement to electric and hydrogen power that's going to permeate through everything that we see.
And the investor community is really, you know, in the last probably 2 years, you know, we're amazed at the investment community, to be honest, right? And their focus on the low carbon transformation and that pathway, and what are your advocacy? What's your advocacy around that, right? So we work with our trade groups, and I am on the Association of Equipment Manufacturer. It's an industry group, and I chair their sustainability council. So, you know, we're trying to take this across, right? Because we as a company can't do this alone, by the way. We can't, you know, so it's like we have to join forces with communities, with our partners and our customers, and, you know, you know, even our competitors are part of that group, right? That we have to figure out, you know, how we can go further faster.
So we are bumping up on the hour, and I do want to bring us to a formal close. However, anybody who wants to stick around and continue the discussion, you are definitely welcome to do so.
May I say one thing?
Go ahead.
Very quickly.
Yes, go ahead.
Speaking from the petrochemical sacrifice zone of the planet Earth, I extend an invitation to Cummins to set up in New Orleans, Louisiana. I will personally introduce you to the mayor and the city council. You would change our state.
Wow.
Thank you.
Wow.
Wow. Well, yeah, and to kind of build on to that, what I have learned today from Karen is just incredibly inspiring and hopeful. I had no idea, and I mean, I'm thrilled to hear what a leader you are in the industry, and just have so many questions I'd love to get to, but we are at the top of the hour, and I want to extend a token of our appreciation. This is a United Nations Sustainable Development Goals lapel pin.
Very nice. SDGs.
And so yes, go SDGs. Yeah, as a matter of fact, let me do something real quick so that it's a little more evident to people what this is all about. Are you able to see the SDG screen? Am I sharing that for everybody? Do you see a? No. Okay. All right. Well. Okay. Well, anyway. So, but especially, Cummins is clearly a leader in SDG number 7. Did I freeze? Are you guys able to hear me?
Yeah.
You're here.
Yeah.
Okay. You're clearly a leader in SDG number 7, clean energy and affordable energy. Number 9, industry innovation. And number 12, responsible production and consumption. And number 14, water savings. So very much appreciate what Cummins is doing. And just a few closing thoughts so we'll all just take a deep breath. And I would like to just reiterate that we do not inherit the earth, we borrow it from our children. So with that, thank you, everyone. Very much appreciate all of your attendance. So that's our formal close. Do not feel obligated to stick around. We all have busy lives, but for those who would like to, we'll just continue some of the conversations related to what we've heard and a little more about the Strengthen Local Climate Commitment campaign as you have an interest. And
you guys, I'm gonna head off, and thank you for what you all do. It's also very inspiring from this side as well. So thank you.
Every little bit helps.
Every bit helps.
And you guys are doing heavy lifting globally for the planet. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Well, we're happy to be here.